Shalom, everybody, and welcome to our edition of Wandering Jews. This is a series that we did kind of at the height of the pandemic. And for those here for the first time, it was kind of out of a selfish motivation. I really like to travel. And I thought, what a better way than to reach out to different leaders that I knew in the Jewish community and connect and talk about and share about our individual communities. And it was a way to kind of both learn. Sometimes we do formal learning together. Sometimes it's just sharing about our communities themselves. And so we were able to travel into all different far corners of our Jewish world, literally. And so more recently, Lena Weinberg knew a friend from camp, Isa Wanani, who is a Jew in Uganda from the Abu Daya community. And so Liz made the connection, and we're really excited to have forged this connection. It's a wonderful and really interesting and thriving Jewish community led by Rabbi Gershon Suzumo, who's supposed to be joining us as well. And Rabbi Gershon Suzumo actually himself is a historic figure, not only in the Jewish community, but in the Ugandan community at large. He is a member of parliament, and he was the first Black African native-born rabbi to be ordained in our movement, certainly, I think maybe even at all. He's the chief rabbi of Uganda and very cool guy. He founded a yeshiva, center for study in Uganda that's thriving and really interesting. And you might have also heard through your different exposures to the community virtually, music from their community, that's original music. You might have also seen there's kind of a Ugandan Abu Daya kippah that's very iconic. It has like bold kind of geometric menorahs, and it's kind of one of these half hemisphere kippahs. You might have seen Rabbi Jonah wearing one of those. In any case, they're an incredibly resilient community. They're going through tremendous challenges right now. And I just want to make a pitch both at the beginning and at the end of this presentation. They are, in addition to the usual fare of anti-Semitism that they face, Uganda as a whole is really besieged with tremendous economic challenge. The pandemic has really wreaked havoc on their economy, and there are food shortages, there are basic utility shortages, and the Jewish community is also very much affected by this. They really are struggling in pretty dramatic ways, not just the ways that we experience here, but really like life or death type struggles. So I'm happy at the end of our session, what we do the media, I can find the link to share. There's a GoFundMe page that a friend of Esau set up several months ago that still hasn't met its goal. And the friend is through Philadelphia, so it's easier for us to contribute money that way. It's very difficult to wire money, I learned, to Uganda. So this is a safe way that we can do this as a community. In any event, we're really honored. I was able to have some really amazing conversations with them leading up to this program, and so was Helene. So I do hope that they'll be able to join us, but I want to just explain that connections there can be very complicated on the internet. And so it is very possible they're experiencing technical difficulties, making this impossible to connect. And even if they do connect, I just want to heads up that it can be a very slow and choppy connection. So what Helene and I did as a plan B, you got to have a plan B, is Helene helped figure out, kind of curated some media that can give you a little bit of a glimpse into their lives in Uganda as the Abu Daya Jewish community. So maybe and I also want to thank, by the way, Carol, who's with us, who in these series, we often have a representative from our community when we meet with the community share about what it's like in Bucks County, what it's like at Bethel. And so I want to just acknowledge gratefully Carol for being here. So if they do come, we're going to put you back on the saddle so you can tell, but we all know about Bethel. So but I want to thank Carol so much and all of you for being here. So no further ado, I'll turn it over to Helene for a little bit of a virtual tour of Jewish Uganda.
Okay. Oops. So just bear with me for a moment because this thing has decided to flake out a little bit. This video that I'm going to show you was recorded in 2019. So it's pre-pandemic.
After traveling on safari for 10 days through Uganda's national parks, we headed to the district of Mbale near the Kenyan border. Our destination was Nabugoya. the headquarters village of the Abiyudaya.
I don't know whether you know about the Jewish community in Uganda.
Oh,
and it
yes.
actually did
Abiyudaya.
mark,
They're
yes,
called
and it
Abiyudaya.
actually did mark 100 years of existence in Uganda. You are as surprised as many would be surprised.
The plan was to share Shabbat with this community. Our guide was Isaac Bayaki, who was raised in the villages. He traced the Abiyudaya's beginnings to 1919, when a Ugandan statesman named Semai Kakangulu was recruited by the British to convert the local people to Christianity.
Then he asked the British, when I read the Bible, I see that Abraham circumcised. I see that Sabbath is Saturday, not Sunday. And for us, we go to church on Sunday. What is the logic there? The British said, those are Jews. Jews are the one who observe Sabbath on Saturday, and they are the one who circumcise. Then they told him, unless if you want to be Jewish. He said, now from onwards, I declare myself as the first Jew. And it is believed that by 1919, he had over 3,000 followers.
The Abiyudaya, meaning people of Judah, live in 9 different villages. There are a few thousand of them now, mostly subsistence farmers. We had a meaningful conversation with Rabbi Gershom Sizomu, the 3rd-generation rabbi of the Abiyudaya and the first to be formally ordained.
That's the synagogue?
He began by recalling his childhood during the brutal era of Idi Amin.
There was no soap to wash. There was no paraffin. There was nothing. There was no sugar. I grew up not knowing that they could make good meals. All we did was to bite raw fruits, mangoes. We lived closer to impossibility. In 1980, there was a famine. After Idi Amin was overthrown and the country was completely broken, there was death everywhere. There was insecurity everywhere. Robbers could come in broad daylight and take your things, actually. With guns, you could hear gunshots as early as 7 p.m. Then we grew up in fear, in poverty, hunger, all this. My aunt died in 1980 because of starvation.
When Idi Amin outlawed the practice of Judaism, Gershom's community had to pray in secrecy.
Prayer provided hope because our prayers were amazing, I will say. Because when we prayed for the overthrow of Idi Amin, it came along on Pesach. Amin was overthrown on Pesach. My grandfather and father and other people who were in the room were talking about the miracle of Pesach. And I could see, I could experience it, that we are talking about Pharaoh and freedom from Egypt, and it is happening right here before my eyes, that this man, Idi Amin, who had become a Pharaoh, is defeated. It was to me a crossing of the Red Sea, where it says that every Jew must see themselves as if they personally were slaves in Egypt and delivered. I saw that. And since my grandfather and my father were rabbis, I told them on my bar mitzvah that I would be a rabbi. And that is the beginning of my dreams.
That music that is coming from the synagogue. They blast it out on Friday afternoons to let everybody know in the community that the Shabbat is about to begin.
In 2001, Rabbi Jeffrey Summit of Tufts University visited the Abiyudaya to record their music. He produced a CD that was nominated for a Grammy Award. Gershom shared his dream to become formally ordained, and thanks to a fellowship from Bechol Lashon, the Sizomu family left their village just 2 years later and flew to Los Angeles, where Gershom would attend the Ziegler Rabbinical School and be ordained as a rabbi in the conservative movement.
We had a small house without electricity, without running water, and now coming from that to come to Los Angeles, and above all to come to Bel Air. We thought we had come to heaven. The well here, my wife and the children would go 2 miles to carry water on their head to bring. And we found the well in the kitchen. When we went to the bathroom, we found there another miracle of, warm water that comes by a click.
Since returning to Uganda, Rabbi Sizomu has grown his community in many ways, including teaching young people, both Ugandans and Kenyans, about Judaism.
Tikkun Olam, which is mending the world, is one of the principles of Judaism. We don't want to be exclusively Jewish, and we don't want to benefit exclusively. So we thought that if there is any benefit that comes to us, it would be a good gesture to involve our non-Jewish neighbors. And so that's the reason we have allowed teachers who are not Jewish and many children who are not Jewish to be in our schools.
Your teacher for social study was teaching you about this morning. I look at California on the globe and United States.
The Abiyudaya started and continue to operate 2 thriving schools, Hadassah Primary and Semi-Kakangulu High School.
And that has helped improve our image in society here, and we are seen as people who are sensitive to the needs of not only the Jewish community, but to the needs of the surrounding. And that gives us a leadership position.
Isaac Bayaki guided us through the village and introduced us to Aaron Kintu Moses, director of Hadassah Day and Boarding Primary School, who also grew up in the Abiyudaya community.
We had almost the library. Like our grandfather had books that he collected from the Israel embassy, from Americans, visiting Americans. We had many books, but he could not read them in English. He could not even interpret. When we look at these books, we said, I think as children, as boys and girls, we need to embark on education. And I was one among those people who said we should take our people, we should encourage people to go to school.
Moses dreamed of being a teacher.
Come later.
And after Amin was overthrown,
Shabbat
he
Shalom.
graduated from college and made it happen.
We have teachers who are Muslims, Christians, and Jews. So in actual sense, we coexist. We think that Christians are important, the Muslims are important, and we can't do without them. They are part of us, and the world is God created the world not only for Jewish people. He created the world for all people. So we have to learn to live with other people.
The curriculum includes all of the basics, math, science, history, plus a solid background in Judaism.
Hello, P7. My name is Joanne. It's so nice to meet you. We're visiting from the United States. Do you know anything about the United States? Yes. Have you heard of California?
Yes.
The students also learn about Christianity and Islam.
The Christian-founded schools were set in Uganda to capture more people to become Christians. And that was the main center of conversion for Christianity, schools and hospitals. Our grandfathers did not want to continue taking children to school. They said, no, if we take them to school, the children will become Christian instead of becoming Jewish. So that was the reason why, for many, many years, the Jewish people lagged behind in education.
Moses Aaron credits the New York-based nonprofit organization Kulanu with helping to build and support the school since 1995.
We are trying to teach them to live together peacefully. We are trying to provide them with a complete education.
Next, we visited the Semi-Kakangulu High School, run by Seth Jonadav, who's Jewish, and Ahmed Wafidi, a Muslim.
We could not go on the basis of Judaism alone. We needed to help the community around. That's why we had to admit as many people as Christians, Muslims together.
Today, the high school is buzzing with activity, and children from all 3 religious backgrounds play, eat, and study together.
But the biggest disadvantage they have is that many of them come with empty stomachs. They hardly have a meal. So we lose them in the afternoon.
Another problem is attendance. That's because when girls get their periods, they stay home out of shame and a lack of supplies.
If the monthly period, menstruation period goes for close to 2 weeks, that means 2 weeks should be absent. They don't have the materials to help them stay in school, to enhance their stay in school, because they can't afford a pack of pants.
The staff of the school and Ugandan nonprofits are working hard to address this issue, educating the girls and creating washable, reusable pads. Seth and Ahmed work closely together to maintain and grow Semikakangulu as a school of interfaith cooperation.
We started this school as a model school to send a message to the world out there that we are from the same creator. What separates us is those religious values that we believe in. But nonetheless, we are the same people.
In addition to taking pride in the success of the primary and secondary schools that his communities pioneered, Rabbi Gershom Suzomu is especially proud of the Tobin Medical Center, founded in 2010 with the help of the San Francisco-based nonprofit organization B'chol Lashon. Simply put, there were far too many preventable deaths.
Since 2010, when we inaugurated our health clinic, none of our community members has died of malaria and typhoid. So these were the two major killer diseases, and we are proud to say I have not done many funerals since 2010.
After winning a contentious court battle to prove his viability, Rabbi Gershom was elected to the Ugandan parliament in 2016. One of the benefits of his new position was a stipend for a personal vehicle.
So when they gave me money to buy a good car, I bought an ambulance to serve my community and the neighboring communities. And the ambulance is amazing because the driver gets a call and it goes wee, 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 takes a patient quickly, and then their life is saved.
Are all of the problems solved? Absolutely not. The Abiudaya community relies on the generous support of people around the world who, through nonprofits like B'chol Lashon, make generous donations. But what they do have is a charismatic visionary who recognizes the challenges and sees a promising future.
Maaseh avot simanim lebanim, that what parents do are examples to the children. So I want to use my position as a leader to inspire the next generation to know that they can do even better than me. And if they can do better than me, I am a member of parliament. To be better than me, you become a president.
Our final activity before Friday night services was spent with some of the next generation of leaders from the Abiudaya, including Rabbi Gershom's 3 nieces.
How did you get to be there?
We danced to their favorite popular music, helped make challah,
Make some challah!
and worked in their simple outdoor kitchen.
Joanne is making challah.
To prepare Shabbat dinner for the community.
We make challah in Africa. We make kosher in Africa. In Africa. I'm so happy. I'm so happy today. It's Shabbat. Hey, making challah. Making challah. In a matter of
Beautiful.
In different languages.
Yeah.
Swahili,
Swahili was in there?
Uganda,
Yeah.
Apache, and Kikuyu.
In Kikuyu.
Yeah.
Kikuyu is Kenya.
Yeah.
There's a tribe in Kenya. Yeah.
It's my tribe.
Ah, that's your tribe. Great. Judaism is most certainly alive and in very good hands in the villages of the Abayudaya in eastern Uganda.
And congratulations to them.
They're very faithful, and they are too proud of their faith. You saw that honorable MP, wherever he's in Parliament, he dons his, I don't know whether it's a hat.
I will keep it at that as well. I do not want to describe things I am not very well versed with.
That thing,
Yeah.
that small thing.
That more looks like the purple cup.
Yes, it's a cup. Yes, it's a cup.
Yeah.
It's a cup. Yeah, but it's a mark of faith.
Yeah.
The way you would carry your rosary openly. But well, you're still watching The Morning Breeze. It's 20 minutes to 8.
And there we are. And I believe that Esau has joined us.
Oh, wow. Okay, fantastic. Do we see Esau?
Do we see Esau? He was here a moment ago.
I saw that it was 12 participants. Now it's back to 11.
Oh dear.
While we're waiting, I just want to say a few things about what we saw. And I'm curious for your reactions. There we go. Esau, welcome. Baruch haba. Hey, Esau, Baruch haba. Good to see you. We just watched.
Thank you very much.
We just watched a video about your communities for a little bit of background. So perfect timing. You came in just at the right time. Can you hear us okay? Yes, I was just sharing a little bit of context.
Exactly.
About...
Thank you very much, Rob.
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you very well. And just Rabbi Gershom just called. Okay. So I just got a message from Rabbi Gershom. He got an emergency. And he was unable to attend this meeting, but he sends his love and
so
yes, to everyone who is
So the audio was a little bit choppy there. I think the connection was dropped. What I could gather from that was that Rabbi Gershon Zuzuma was going to join us and send some kind of message. I'm not sure if others gathered more than that. If you could hear, did anyone else hear anything else? No. Okay. I wrote to Isa in the chat asking him to write. Then it might be a little easier. But in the meantime,
Like maybe he said that Rabbi wasn't coming. Like he's something like he sent his love.
Right. That's what I heard.
So
Yeah.
I'm guessing maybe Rabbi can't come. I don't know.
Yeah. Yes. I figured I would tell you a little bit, maybe just about the community, kind of the origin story of it, which is, it's a community that's been around for over 100 years, but there we go. Let's see. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks. My network is breaking. You know, Africa network. And on, sorry.
So I'm not sure if you can hear us.
But I think finally right now, yeah.
We're so glad you can join us, and I'm glad that it worked out. I'm sorry that the audio connection's a little bit choppy.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you a little. We can hear you a little bit. Yeah, it kind of comes in and out. It might be easier if you write in the chat and we can read out loud. It might be a little bit easier just because of the weak connection. But we're really glad you're here, Esav, and really grateful for this connection. So I was sharing a little bit about in the chat when we were watching the video. It mentioned Rabbi Suzumo's work and the work of the community and the support of Bechol Lashon, which is an amazing organization that supports Jewish communities all over the world. And it actually was formerly led by Jack Zeller, who, those of you know who Gladys Schwartz, Herman Gladys, you know, her just recently downsized and moved south. But they're actually the ones who funded our adult ed program very generously. And so Jack Zeller was Gladys's brother, and he's still around. He's still doing amazing work and is very involved with these different communities still in his retirement. He's, I think, out west, Jack. But anyway.
Thanks very much, and I'm also grateful to be here.
Yeah, no, it's great to see you, Isa. And it's nighttime there, right? It's like late there. So, do you want to share with us? Well, maybe try speaking, and then if it's still choppy, you lost him. Well, so one thing about the community was that they were Jewish in a biblical sense. In other words, they took on the commandments that are described in the Tanakh, but they were more aware of the broader Jewish community, the mainstream Jewish community, by the 1920s. And then a few decades later, they discovered the Masorti movement, which is like our sister international movement of the conservative movement. And it really spoke to their egalitarian and kind of traditionalist persuasion. So they became formally part of the Masorti movement more in the more recent decade. Hey, Issa, do you want to unmute and try speaking again, see if the connection might be a little stronger? So it's really an incredible story. And one of the current issues that they face is many are, fervent Zionists like we are, and want to make Aliyah. And many of their community members have gone and studied in Israel. There's a few cases of people who went on to study at the conservative yeshiva in Jerusalem and have studied at kibbutzim and worked there. And one of the challenges is that sometimes the Israeli government does not recognize their Jewish identity. And so this is something that we really could advocate for. It's an important piece. That's a current piece very much. Whereas other potential olim, other people seeking to move to Israel from other countries, especially European countries, don't face that same kind of level of discrimination. There's a lot of resistance to sub-Saharan African Jews who try to make Aliyah. We talked about this a little bit in our series on Nigeria, but the case is very much here for the Ugandan Jews. They all formally converted. So when they joined the Masorti movement, they all en masse converted. This was a major undertaking, including everything you're imagining. And so this is all to say that they went through all the official steps, but because there's still lingering issues around pluralism in Israel from the chief rabbinate, we're still dealing with this kind of discrimination. And so this is something where when we have those global elections for the WZO, for the World Zionist Organization's Congress, and we want to vote for, the Masorti party, it's super important that we actually do vote in those elections because it gives our affiliates a voice at the table that impacts decisions just like that. So that's another pitch. I'm going to put in the chat that link that I mentioned before that Esau gave me. This is directly from Esau from earlier. This is the GoFundMe page. And you can see if you click on the link that it's well below its goal. So we can all do quite a bit to help them get there, to meet their final goal. Thoughts, questions? I mean, I don't know how familiar folks are with this community, like what you've seen before of it, but curious to hear your initial thoughts watching the video that Helene shared with us.
I thought it was really amazing how people need to struggle to express their Judaism, where here we take for granted the ability to do that. We just do it. And so I know it's inspiring to see that that's, you know, that is so worthwhile for people, that they'll go to those extremes.
Yeah, Sheldon.
The film that you had showed the Jews living in a rural community. Do any of them live in the cities?
To my knowledge, in the Ugandan community, they mostly are clustered in the rural areas, but I don't know definitively. I don't know as much about the Abudaya Jewish community as I do, let's say, about when we talk about the Nigerian community. I have more of a context with them. But there are a few different clusters and they're growing. I mean, they're strong communities, definitely. Helene, do you happen to know like the breakdown of where they live?
I don't know. I don't know. I do have another video that I could show that it shows a sort of a broader picture of their lives, but I think it's again, it's a very rural community that they're showing there. And the other one, the translation, the audio was very difficult, so you would have to do we'd have to put on the CC, and the CC is a little random in the way it's translating. So if you want to, I can put it on and we can take a look at it.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Helene.
Okay, just a moment and I will get that queued up.
Well, she's queuing it up. I'll just say I was surprised. I didn't realize the history goes back so far.
It is kind of amazing that I will give this a start now.
My name is Rabbi Gershom Sizom, and I'm the spiritual leader of the Abayudaya Jewish community of Uganda. Abayudaya is a Luganda word which refers to the Jewish people as the people of Yuda. Abayudaya. It is a community of native Ugandans who chose Judaism in 1919. It's not a result of the outside Jewish communities, but it is indigenous that came out of self-motivation. So what makes our community unique is the history. The founder of this community, Semei Kakunguru, read the Christian Bible, which the Christians had given him as a tool for converting people to Christianity. So when he read the Bible, he found out that the Torah, or the 5 books of Moses, spoke more to him because it contained a direct word of God to the people of Israel. So Semei Kakunguru fell in love with Torah. and taught the same to the people of our community. By the end of 1919, one by one of our people had converted to Judaism, and there were about 8,000 followers who were willing to observe Torah and also began to observe Shabbat every week and to also observe the laws of Kashrut. The community faced many challenges after the death of Semei Kakunguru in 1928. There was no leader, able leader like him, who could steer the community into the future. But my grandfather, Samson Mugombe, voluntarily took over leadership in 1936 when the community was crumbling and was declining in numbers. So he took over leadership with few resources to reorganize and to unite the community. And the community survived during his leadership. But then in 1971, the community faced another challenge, and it was a challenge of the coming to power of General Idi Amin Dada. Idi Amin came to power and immediately outlawed Judaism. So we were not allowed to observe publicly or to even go to our places of worship. So I grew up during Idi Amin's regime, and it was very difficult because there was too much discrimination, there was too much mistreatment even in schools. As a child, we were forced to go to Christian services, and if we refused, they would sing insults at us, calling us Christ killers. And that made it very difficult. My father used to pray for the defeat of Idi Amin. And it eventually came on the 11th day of April 1979. And it was the first day of Passover when Amin was defeated, and the new government immediately declared freedom of worship. And it was a very good day because it was the right time when Jewish people yearn for redemption, when Jewish people talk about redemption and freedom from slavery. So I decided on that day that I would become a future leader of this community, because what happened was a real miracle, that Amin had to leave at the time when every Jew expected freedom. I began to study very much. I began to lead services and to read Torah and to teach. And it is that moved me into my position as a rabbi and spiritual leader of this community. Our Jewish practice is part of us and has become our culture. It has become our tradition. Every Monday and every Thursday, we congregate in our synagogue to read the Torah and to pray together and sing together. Every Shabbat, every Friday evening, we have Kabbalat Shabbat service. After Kabbalat Shabbat, through Shabbat, it becomes very special for me to sit here with people from all over and learn with them. They ask questions, I ask them questions, and I see that not only me but everybody is enjoying that kind of exchange where we are seated here and learning. I started a yeshiva educating young people here in this community to become potential spiritual leaders, so that I am not the only one to be the spiritual leader in Africa, so that I can give opportunity to other young people to become leaders of their respective communities. So the yeshiva is becoming a stepping stone for the future of Judaism in Africa. In Nabugoya, we have the Semei Kapungulu High School. We also have the Hadassah Primary School, which are schools that give opportunity to our children to learn Judaism and the Hebrew language besides the other subjects. We have actually a lot that we do together that brings us together and that defines our community as a Jewish community. And our people, our neighbors admire the fact that we are able to do this without any much effort, but with love and with pride. So Judaism has become part of us. We are here in the middle of Uganda, in the middle of Africa, and being a small Jewish community, we always feel good to receive people from all over the world to come and share with us the joy of Judaism, to come and identify with us so that we don't feel isolated. So I invite everybody out there who is willing and interested in coming to visit to please come and visit, because that does us good. I'm looking for people who are able to make changes in this community, positive changes, like volunteers who can come here and help us teach in our Beit Midrash, teach in our schools, and volunteers who can even raise awareness for our community in other Jewish communities, because the more we are known and received and accepted by the bigger Jewish world, the more stronger we will become, and the more strong Judaism will become here in Africa. And our community continues to grow in number and also in knowledge and in strength because of the support we get from our brothers and sisters outside of here. We live in a bigger Jewish world now. It's no longer a smaller Ugandan Jewish world.
Thank you so much, Helene. And I just want to say Baruch Haba to Rabbi Suzuma, who was with us. Let's see, I think, is he off now? No, he was with us for a brief bit. You might have seen in the chat. He said he's in an area with bad network and he was just dealing with an emergency. So this is the life of a rabbi, as we all know. But he's doing such amazing work for his community, both Jewish and beyond. And what a special treat to even just see him for a second in real time on our Zoom. And really grateful for this introduction. And thank you, Liz, for making this connection with Asa, who connected us with Rabbi Suzumo. And, again, I want to emphasize there are two big ways that we can help. I mentioned again in the chat, the GoFundMe link. And please consider giving to that if you have the means to do so. Any amount I think will be helpful. And also, again, being an active supporter of the Masorti movement. You can actually join as a member of this Masorti movement, which again helps support folks just like the folks you saw on the video who try to make Aliyah from Uganda as Abodaya Jews. This is an ongoing issue. Again, they still haven't received widespread recognition as Jewish in the state of Israel when they absolutely are, and have learned on a very high level. This is unlike any other Jewish community in sub-Saharan Africa with the kind of infrastructure that they've created. Really impressive, like you saw in the videos. The schools they have, the services they maintain are really at the level that you would see in one of our communities, even where we have so many more resources. And like Helene said, we might even take for granted just rolling into synagogue, half asleep and not thinking about it twice. They have to fight for this. They have to fight for this every single day, even at home. So it's just inspiring, and it's just a reminder of how blessed we are to be able to be freely identifying and practicing as proud Jews. And we wish them a lot of strength and blessing in their continued celebration of their Judaism, which you see how robust and vibrant and proud their community is, rightfully so. So thoughts, questions as we watch the second video. Yeah, Carol.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about their current standard of living. It looks like they have electricity. Do they have, running indoor plumbing, water in the kitchen? Do you know that?
I believe water has been an issue in the sense that clean water has been an issue. They have basic electricity, but as you see from even just our connection right now, the internet is not what it is here. And so it's on a much lower scale. I mean, when Rabbi Suzumo mentioned getting a car, he's a very high ranking individual in the society. And like, it took being a member of parliament to get like a nice car. And I thought it was such a beautiful comment he made about like, I got an ambulance so I could serve the community. It's just like, what an incredible act of what we call Mesirat Nefesh, kind of, giving of your soul. That was his first thought. He could have gotten a nice car, but he got an ambulance.
Do you know if there's currently in Uganda a lot of discrimination against the Jewish community, or they're more accepted now? I mean, certainly, I'm sure better than under Idi Amin, but how they're treated as Jews.
I'm going to turn that over to Rabbi Suzumo, who just joined us. If you can hear us, Rabbi Suzumo, Carol just asked about how Jews are treated in Uganda today. Has it improved at all post Idi Amin? If you want to write in the chat, might be a little easier just for the connection. I'll also write it in the chat in case our connection is.
You're muted, Rabbi.
Okay. All right. I have been hunting for network. I've driven to 3 places looking for better network. This is much better. I am sorry for the inconvenience. The question about treatment of Jews here in Uganda, in past, as you heard, we were poorly treated. These days, our image has improved in our communities around us and in the country at large. We have shared the small progress that we have in our community, the schools, the health center, the philanthropy from our brothers and sisters abroad, mosquito nets, we share them, food, especially during the lockdown, we had a crisis, a food crisis. And when we received some support and got food, we ate with our neighbors. We have extended ourselves and made ourselves inclusive and not exclusive. And during our seders, we invite people who are not Jewish to come and participate and actually attend. During Shabbat, we have non-Jews who come to be part of us. So we have made ourselves available and we have made ourselves open to the outside. And many people who are interested in knowing about us, learn more, they are free to learn. So we using Tikkun Olam, we have made it possible for our community to be accepted.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. And we can hear you perfectly now. So thank you so much for going all the way to find the right spot. It means a lot to us. And I know how busy your schedule is. So it's really an honor to have you with us, Rabbi Suzumo.
Thank you. Thank you.
And in Chodesh Tov.
Chodesh Tov, yes.
Yeah. Wanted to see if anyone else had any questions since Rabbi Suzumo is with us, and now we can kind of have a chat. This is really a major honor and a rare blessing. So jump in with all your questions. Yeah, Sheldon.
Sheldon, you're muted.
Sheldon.
Can I repeat the question I had before? Are there any Jews living in the cities in Uganda?
Very good. We have started a small community in Kampala for young adults who go to school in Kampala or who have found jobs around Kampala, the capital city of Uganda. And they have a community called Marom Kampala. They are about 50 in number. They come together on Shabbat. I join them occasionally for tutoring and teaching, and they have a rabbinic class that I teach once in a while. So yes, we have our presence in Kampala, and most of our synagogues in Mbale city are within the boundaries of the city. So it looks like a village, but Mbale has been upgraded to a city status. So we can say that our communities in Mbale are in the city. So we have 3 communities in the cities of Uganda.
Rabbi, how many members do you have in your communities?
We have 8 communities in Uganda. 1 is in Kenya, and our quick census reveals that we are about 2,000.
I was mentioning before about the ongoing struggles with folks trying to make Aliyah to Israel. And I'm wondering ways that we as a global Jewish community can kind of be better advocates for Ugandan Jews trying to make Aliyah. 'Cause I know that's kind of an ongoing issue.
Yes, we have a group of rabbinic leaders who have formed an organization called Achva. And the purpose, the express purpose of that organization is to advocate for the Jews of Uganda. We have a younger man called Yosef who has tried to make Aliyah. His case has been heard in the Supreme Court of Israel. He's still in Israel. The government wants to throw him out, but our advocates in Israel, together with the court, have made it difficult for government to throw him out, and he's a test case. The justification they have for this is that our community converted in 2002, and there was no rabbi in the community yet, and wasn't recognized by the Masorti movement as a Jewish community until 2008. So all conversions that were performed before 2008 are deemed invalid. And so Yosef had to reconvert again in Israel in order to stand the test of the interior ministry. And even then, he has not been accepted. So the fight still goes on. The struggle, not even the fight, because we are fighting nobody. The struggle continues because we have so many people who are converted after 2008. And the question is, if any one of them applied, would they be accepted? There's a younger woman who applied. She was converted in 2010, but still the process of accepting her is dragging on. So we don't know the actual reason why our people would be denied an opportunity to make Aliyah.
Thank you for sharing about that. And I know it's an ongoing issue with many different Jews, especially from African countries, and kind of a very unfair situation. And we're just eager to help in whatever way we can, if there's any way, as members of the Masorti movement, to be involved in that. But other questions for Rabbi Suzumo? Yeah, Ian.
Yeah, Rabbi, it's great to see you today. So
Thank
as
you.
Americans, aside from the obvious financial impacts that we can have by donating money, is there anything else that we could do, I guess, to help your situation awareness-wise, financially-wise, anything along those lines? I would be curious to hear.
Yes, financially and awareness, very important. It is very dangerous for us to be isolated. We need to be connected to other Jews. If Idi Amin had chosen to exterminate us, nobody would have known. But now, when I speak to you on Zoom, I feel very connected and very good, and it encourages and strengthens me. I know that I'm not alone. I have a brother and a sister abroad that I can speak to in terms of hardship. We, during the lockdown, there are people who raised money for food, and that food sustained the community and our neighbors, as I said earlier. Our main challenge is that it's very difficult to find jobs here, especially that many of our people didn't go to school for fear of being converted to Christianity in the past. So we don't have a history of educated people. We don't have doctors. We don't have professors. We don't. I was the first one to get a bachelor's degree. And then we have people who have bachelor's degree like Esav. I don't know if he's on. He tried to be on, but network was bad. He also doesn't have a job. So that is a problem. We want to start, we actually have started a microcredit program where young people like Esav can borrow money on either on free interest or on very limited interest, so that they can start their own enterprises and businesses, so that we can pick up from there. A Jew must have means of sustenance. Jews have been known to be rich people because they have enterprises, they do business, they have gone to school. The same must be in Uganda. And you know, if we are in a vicious cycle, it is going to be difficult for us to break that cycle until good friends like you can help to hammer it out and break the vicious cycle of poverty. And then maybe in the future, we can have an affluent Jewish community in Uganda that does not depend on donations.
Amen.
Amen.
I included earlier in the conversation, I included in the chat the GoFundMe page that Isa shared with his friend who's in Philadelphia. I think Rachamim is the friend, or Rahman, who's collecting money for, I think, for the jobs effort. So again, I'll put that back in the chat. Let me find it again. So in the meantime, if others want to jump in and ask any questions, because again, this is a very rare opportunity. Let's see here. For us to, here we go. Here's the GoFundMe. It's it looks like it's also for food, this link. Let's see. Here we go. Here's the GoFundMe campaign on the chat. And let's see here. I have a question about training. You know, you obviously were formally trained, and were the first to be formally trained outside of Uganda. When you have your yeshiva or your Beit Midrash, how do you train your teachers?
Yes, in our yeshiva Beit Midrash, we teach people Hebrew first as an entry point to Jewish text, and we also teach them basically the how to conduct prayers, how to do life cycle events, how to give sermons, and you know, we have like 6 synagogues, and I can't be everywhere, and I'm a Shomer Shabbat, so I don't drive around on Shabbat and the holidays. So I have to find those shirichim who know how to lead services, who know exactly what the synagogue protocol and the synagogue protocols and orders of prayers and other things that we do. So some of them who are interested in being Mohalim, I train them as well. I train them to be Mohalim, and we learn also Jewish texts like Talmud, and so they know they have to be connected to how our tradition, as our tradition developed as a Jewish tradition. So history here and there, so that we prepare them to be knowledgeable members of the community who can lead others. And actually, one of them has been accepted at the Ziegler School, Samson in Diritu. He passed his Hebrew entry exam, so we had to go into a rigorous 1 year intense Hebrew learning with him using various Hebrew texts, including the 501 Hebrew verbs. If you know, it is a very good one. So he knows the binyanim and all those grammar and so on. So he surprised everybody. He passed very well, and he has been accepted at the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies. He's moving there this August, and we shall have another rabbi trained.
That's amazing. So he'll be the second one from Ziegler.
Yes.
Wow. What was it like for you? I mean, coming, from Uganda to the Ziegler School of Rabbinics, I mean, that must have been a huge transition.
Yeah, it was very huge. I came from a place without electricity and running water. So logistically, I was going to heaven from a place of darkness, a place of hardship, to Bel Air, where Ziegler School is located. I and my family thought we had gone to some heaven, where you say and everything just happens. You say, let there be warm water in the shower, and there you have it. Let there, even a microwave was a miracle. The dishwashers, the washing machines for clothes, such things don't happen in our village even today. So it was logistically very, very good. Academically, it was challenging, coming from a place where teachers are sources of knowledge to a place where you have to do research, you have to find out and answer questions using your own, opinion, assessing using your own opinions, and you are assessing works of people who are highly educated, and you are not highly educated. You just have a bachelor's degree. You are assessing work of a doctor somewhere, reviewing, doing that was very difficult. But I was supported with friends. We had discussion groups. I went to the teachers themselves. Rabbi Atson, I stormed him one time when he said God does not exist in time and also in space. I didn't understand that concept, and I had to confront him directly. What do you mean? Are you a heretic? Are you saying God does not exist? He had to explain to me that he meant that God does not exist in time and also in space. That concept had to be explained to me in order for me to understand. Otherwise, I was off. So such, coming from a place of less philosophical discussion, a place where we accepted Torah as it was, biblical criticism. Rabbi Zevit's class was also a big challenge. How do we criticize the Bible? How do we say this is a repetition of this and that? So coming from a traditional point of view to a place of critical thinking and discussion, and was a big challenge. But 5 years later, I appreciate what I went through.
Amazing. Thank you. That's such an incredible journey. And all that you've done, I'm just in absolute awe of your whole example of leadership, and what an extraordinary legacy you have set for your whole community, and at a young age too. I mean, that's what's also so impressive, is how much you've taken on and accomplished already. And it's exciting to hear about the new generation of leaders emerging in Uganda, that you are training these young people to become leaders. So there's a lot of hope and excitement moving forward, a lot of energy and momentum. So kol hakavod, it's really, really wonderful. Curious for any other comments, questions while we're all together. And again, I just encourage you to check out that link that I posted in the chat if you have a chance.
I have a question. I know there are other Jewish communities in other countries in Africa. Is there any, communication between you and, let's say the Jews of Nigeria? Or are your communities basically just insular?
Absolutely. Actually, there were 4 students from Nigeria who came to my yeshiva in 2009, 2010. Those 4 students went back to their communities, taught them more Judaism, one of the students was allowed at a Camp Rama in the United States. While at camp, I actually, when they were in my community, I organized the Bet Din for them. I was the head of the Bet Din with visiting rabbis from the US, and we converted them to Judaism formally. So when they went back, they were converted formally. He went to camp and met a beautiful young woman who was a daughter of Rabbi Moshe. So they fell in love and married. So recently, last year, I went to Nigeria, plus Rabbi Moshe. Rabbi Moshe's son is also a rabbi. So we were like 4 rabbis in Nigeria. There was a wedding for the young Nigerian boy and a rabbi's daughter from the US. And we also converted the community formally. 96 members of the community were converted to Judaism. We used the river as a mikvah. So that community recognizes that I am their rabbi as well, because they have not trained rabbi yet. But there are many young people who are promising, and a connection to Rabbi Moshe is very important. We will continue to teach them, and maybe one of them. I saw one of those young people who are very passionate, who have deep love for Judaism, and even knowledgeable, even when they don't have a school to go to. So when they have a chance to go to any school, yeshiva or rabbinic school, I think they can be very, very wonderful Jewish leaders.
As an aside, I've known Rabbi Moshe since I was 8 years old.
Oh, wow. You know whom I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Wow, nice.
We got the Ramah Poconos connection here.
The Jewish world is so small.
Very small. Very small.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we're really grateful to be able to make our Jewish world even smaller with a program like this, and how fortunate we are to have this connection. And I hope that we'll be able to continue our conversations together and build together collaboratively across many different time zones and communities, because that's the joy of our times. We can actually do that. And Helene, did you want to share a little something as a kind of plug for our other series coming up?
Well, I wanted to thank everyone for coming today. Rabbi Gershom, thank you so much for coming today. We really
thank you. I
appreciate
apologize for being late.
And there's a lot going on at Bethel always. So this afternoon, there's bingo live at the temple as a fundraiser. We're going to have adult education on Tuesday morning. Harriet Friedenreich is going to be talking about the Abrahamic religions. That's 10 a.m. on Tuesday, and it's live. At 10 a.m. on Wednesday on Zoom, Rabbi Weiss is going to be starting a new program on conservative Judaism. Still hazy after all these years. We're going to try to figure out what it's all about and looking to Rabbi Weiss for some enlightenment about that. We have on May 12th, Rabbi Weiss is going to be teaching in the evening. That's a Thursday evening at 7:45. We're going to be talking about the great debates in Judaism. And on May 24th, which is a Tuesday evening, we're going to have an author, Joe Ivister, who's going to be visiting us at our temple. And we'll be talking about Once a Girl, Always a Boy, a family memoir of a transgender journey. And on May 26th, Sheldon Miller is going to be leading us on about the cellist for our book club. So you're welcome for all of that. And we're looking forward to seeing you. That's the commercial part.
Just a plug for tomorrow for Dive into Davening at noon. It's the first of the month. So join us at noon on the same Zoom, and we'll talk a little more about our liturgy. As always, I want to say huge thank you, huge toda rabba to Helene, our adult ed chair, and especially to our guest, Rabbi Gershom Tizuma, coming all the way from Uganda. It is such a zechut to be able to learn from you and to have you here with us today. And we wish you continued blessings, success, and strength. May chayil to chayil in all that you do. And thank you again. And thank you all for being here today to share in this journey. So I want to wish everyone a Chodesh Tov, a happy new month, and an early Yom Ha'atzmaut Sameach, Israel Independence Day later this week. And may we continue to connect for joyous occasions.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so
Rabbi.
much.
Very honored by your presence today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.